We're so very excited to bring to you our very interesting CEO Fireside Chat on Survive, Navigate, and Seize the Upside of Disruption. It is such a pleasure to welcome on board Mr. Ahmed Abdelaal, Group CEO, Mashreq Bank, and a very warm welcome to Mr. Vijay, Partner, Deloitte. Let's look forward to this very interesting conversation. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Isha.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Ahmed. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Vijay.
Let me dive right into it. Mashreq Bank has won a number of awards for banking innovation. Best digital bank in the Middle East, best retail bank in the Middle East, best bank in the UAE. If you had to single out one major factor which contributed to the success of your banking innovation, what would that one factor be?
Well, I will have to say that it would be our unyielding focus on client experience. Actually, this success is a culmination to years of investment in technology, innovation, which is hardwired in our organizational DNA. Over the last few years, we have invested and will continue to heavily invest in what I would call the holy trio, which is ingredients for the success for any transformation, which is people, culture, and technology. And the three of them go all together, and they are the main driver for our success on this front.
Thank you. And there are so many technologies that Mashreq Bank has embraced. I've been involved in your blockchain journey. There's robotic process automation, cloud, artificial intelligence. What's been your philosophy on measuring the return on these investments, especially when you adopt this technology early, the results might be very slow to show up. What's been your philosophy on assessing return in this kind of a context?
Well, I mean, there is near-term impact and there is medium and long-term impact. But we are getting religious about the way that we measure ROI on our technology investments. And we are using three currencies that measure the impacts during those intervals, which is basically top line. I mean, anything that we invest in technologies, innovation, partnership, has to have the muscle to deliver top line impact, or has the ability to deliver middle line impact or efficiencies in terms of costs, or most importantly, which is the key measurement for us, is what kind of a CX or client experience impact it delivers. And as long as it's able to solve for one or more of those three currencies, we go ahead with the investment, and we continue measure the impact of this investment as we move forward through those three currencies.
Okay, right. And how do you take that into individual performance assessment? And what's been your experience, when setting goals for your technology leaders and, more importantly, your business leaders, when it comes to using these technologies and delivering on those three currencies that you mentioned? Right?
Well, we have moved away from the typical performance impact. I mean, so maybe we were one of the first banks in the industry that to move away from the rating or the typical rating approach to assessing people performance, to more of assessing their overall impact and value add to the clients first, then to the organization. We have also moved away from the typical measurement of or focus only on delivering P&L impact to focus more on CX, what kind of a value add each and every individual bring, whether through innovation, interaction, or contribution of ideas. So for us, it's more about measuring the impact rather than the typical rigid measures that drive or rotate around numbers only.
And what has been your experience when it comes to the way people respond to this? You might have some who are probably resisting, getting out of their comfort zone and embracing change. and there might be others that might be more willing to do it, but then they could also fail at times. What's been your experience, in dealing with these different ways people respond to this?
Well, see, I mean, it has to do with the overall culture of the organization. Changing the mindset and culture within the organization is key here if you want to have or pass this kind of an impact to people. Moving from a bank to what I call a tech bank requires a complete shift in the way that we look at everything. And I think people is at the heart of this. So it starts from the onboarding. We make sure that we onboard the right talent that has the right mindset. We go all the way actually for testing or performing psychometric tests to test for their client centricity, their ability to deal with change, their ability to deal with changing priority, open-mindedness, opening to innovation and new ideas. And this helps to a great extent. The other thing is that we have seen as well that comes with this is also changing the way that we look at everything, that whether it's a product or a solution. Let me put it in context. Banks, when they look at a product or a solution, they think first how to operationalize it, looking at the process, how to ring fence it, how to risk manage it. Looking at fintechs, they do completely the opposite. They start with client experience, the impact that they will bring on the client experience and the value add to the clients. Then they work their way out all the way to everything else. Culture is the most challenging aspects of the whole equation, as you know. It takes time, commitment, and equally significant investments to ensure that people are fully aligned to the agile way of delivering impact. And most importantly, ensuring that everything that they do starts and ends with unwavering focus on client experience.
You mentioned fintechs, and that raises an interesting question. What are your observations on banks working with fintechs? And what has been Maastricht's journey on that?
No, basically, I mean, we have a completely different approach when it comes to fintechs. We deal with fintechs as partners rather than competitions. And I think this is a very important change to embrace the fintechs ecosystem if we want to progress on digitization front. And I'll give you a few examples. So our partnership with Casho earlier in the year managed to deliver the first buy now, pay later solution in the entire region. We have played a pivotal role in launching the Emirates Digital Wallet, CLIP, last year, which is a seamless, secure platform for payments. We have launched our Maastricht Pay, and we continue to work with fintechs on many fronts. Last year also, we have launched the first blockchain KYC solution, working with fintechs and the free zones here. So I think this cooperation is existential for banks. They move, fintechs move at a much faster pace than we do. And it's about mixing DNAs to come up with the best animal that can run in the future.
And at an overall market level, we hear a lot about innovation in retail banking and corporate banking innovation. What is your view on the outlook going forward, retail banking versus corporate banking, especially in the domain of, leveraging technology for more innovation and better experience?
Well, I mean, let me be honest. I mean, retail has been always leading the front when it comes to technologies because it's more linked to personal needs of a typical retail client. As you know, this is a segment that is less regulated and less capital intensive. Hence, barrier to entry for fintechs was way lower than that it's required for corporates. However, I think corporate banking, wholesale banking is catching up pretty quickly. For example, we have back in 19, we have introduced NeoBiz. This is the first digital banking proposition in UAE that is exclusively targeting SMEs. Since then, we have been able to onboard 10,000 corporates to this platform. It's the fastest growing SME platform in the region. It enables you, for example, to complete a digital account opening application in 20 minutes, has managed to strike 40 strategic partnerships, build complete ecosystem that encompasses core players like Amazon, Zoho, and what have you. If you talk about the wholesale banking, we are creating now working to create a complete ecosystem. We're trying to create a full suite of integrated solution, working with the largest technology companies in the world to be able to create a platform that speaks the language of the future. So open banking, supply chain, AI, blockchain solutions. This is what we are currently working to deliver. As I've mentioned, last year we have delivered the first blockchain KYC working with NorBlock and the IFC here in UAE, which has proven to be quite successful. I think while wholesale banking and corporate banking was lagging behind, they are catching up pretty quickly.
And do you think that the corporate banking customers or the business customers are a little more hard-nosed about what they want from this? You know, it has to be better turnaround time. It has to result in some tangible benefit. And, you know, some of the softer aspects like, you know, a better UI UX, do you think it matters less for business customers as compared to retail customers? And that you are forced to provide something more tangible when you do innovation?
See, I think future is about personalization. And when I say personalization, it goes both ways, whether it's on personal banking or corporate banking. A CFO or a treasurer right now would like to look at a complete ecosystem that would enable him to make his job in lesser time, efficient way, delivering cost impact and experience to not only to him, but to his clients as well. So I would think that it is equally important for a corporate or personal, the experience that you are delivering through the technology that you are building. Of course, I mean, the savviness or the complexity of an ask coming from a corporate client is completely different than that of retail. And add to that or throw on and that as well, the complexity that comes with the regulatory requirement that governs the corporate world makes the demand even more challenging. But again, it's do or die. If banks are not able to evolve quickly and be able to, or become nimble enough to move and dynamically evolve to entertain the complexity of the corporate clients now and in the future, I think that fintechs, big techs, and telcos will move into that domain as well.
Thank you, Ahmed. Very insightful. Final question, you know, if you had to give advice to people who are working on innovation in the banking sector, what would your advice be to them?
Well, I wouldn't call it an advice, but I know there are so many people who have been there way longer and have done a better job. But honestly speaking, if I'm looking at the entire banking in its traditional thing, in its traditional sense, I would think that we are today are on borrowed time. Banks have to realize that the entire landscape is being redesigned as we speak to fit in a world where technology is pervasive and universal. And the only way that we could stay relevant in this world is by creating purpose-built experiences for existing and future needs of our clients. So focus on client needs, building journeys that is client-centric, I think is going to be key if we are to survive the future of this world.
Fascinating. Thank you very much, Ahmed. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.
Isha, I'll hand it back to you. Isha, can you hear us?
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. And it's been an absolute delight having you here with us. I'd like to thank both our guests for being such a spectacular part of this session. Thank you once again.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you once again. It's been a pleasure having the kind presence of Mr. Vijay Mani and Mr. Ahmed Abdelaal right here. And at this point, I'd once again like to encourage all our attendees to please be a part of our experience zone, get to know more about our partners at the partner booths. There are some very exciting gift vouchers waiting for you. Do visit our leaderboard for the TNC. And for now, we're all set to bring to you our next session, which is going to be a keynote address on what does a healthy innovation portfolio look like in just a bit. So please do stay tuned.